Welcome back to LETV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. Let's do this. Right, so I'm here today in Leith, Edinburgh with hip-hop artist and events host, Word. How
Nice
you doing?
one. Yeah, good, Riddler. Nice to see you.
Cheers for coming on, man.
Aye. Well, yeah, great thing. Glad to be part of it. One of the first interviews, so
Yeah, man.
cheers on, man. Nice.
Remember to go back, check Nasty Peas as well. There should be one coming every sort of week. I hope to have a podcast every week. So yeah, we'll just get cracked right onto it, man. So the first part of the interview is basically based on your background, where you grew up, where you're from, what it was like in your teens, what you were like as a person. Give people a bit of a background that they don't know about Word, you know?
Yeah.
So start off maybe like, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up just up from Portobello, sort of Magdalene, Bingham sort of area. Portobello I would say was the main place to sort of hung out. It was down the arcades a lot, skipping school down that way. So that was Portobello was a good place. I think it's still good now. I've not really been down much since I moved to Leith. Yeah. But no, always grew up in Porty, and Porty's a good place.
I know you were originally you were like born in Glasgow, weren't you?
Yeah, well, most of my family's for Glasgow. Yeah. My dad's moved through here just when I was sort of born with my mum.
Aye.
So.
All right, yeah. So you've not got much memories of living in Glasgow yourself.
None at all.
I was aware of that.
Yeah, I don't even. God, I'd have to ask mum and dad. I think it was like as soon as I was born, it was through Edinburgh, so it wasn't even like.
Aye.
Yeah. Oh, you're this big.
And it was Portobello, Porty. That's where you grew up. That was your stomping grounds.
Yeah, I went to Holyrood High School, which actually quite a few rappers from Edinburgh at Holyrood High School. You remember Simba?
Aye.
He was in the year above me.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously you got Deco, who was in my year. You had MC Dandy, was also in our year.
All right, aye.
We had quite a lot, and a few of the breakers, the dancers, the b-boys were in the year above me as well, that were quite good in Edinburgh at the time, that used to do a lot of the gigs. So fair few hip-hop people came out of Holyrood High School. I don't know why.
That's mad, eh? I think there was a couple of folk came from Drummond, that's where I went, and I'm sure there was a few folk came out of there, but they were more like graffiti and b-boys and stuff like that. No many rappers, eh?
Yeah.
We're quite rare at our age, eh?
That was what it was, because it was super rare. I mean, I'm nearly 35. Started rapping when I was like 14, 15. First gig at 15. You know, so back then, you'll know yourself, it was hard to like find people and just even know, like, I mean, I say this a lot, but I think a lot of people were in the same boat back then. I thought I was the first rapper to ever rap in a Scottish accent. I'd never heard anyone before until meeting you and things like that. You were probably one of the first people ever met. I think me and Deco were like posted on the internet on some forum, you said nobody uses this one, mate. Go and check out this one. And then it was meeting you was one of the first things. Must have been about 17, 18 years old as well.
Me and Mata had been doing it only a couple of years before you, but not really before you, because you were doing it in school and that. So you were doing it, you just didn't know folk.
Yeah, we were sending it to mates on MSN Messenger was the thing.
Yeah,
because people used to go on that a lot. That was well before Facebook.
Aye. I mean, technically, I met Wardy Burns through you as well.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. Like,
there's been so much music made over the years. Just
aye.
So
what were you? What were your interests as a kid? What sort of things? Say, talking like 10 years old upwards, can you remember like what you were into? A wee bit of honesty. What sort of stuff were you?
When I was a kid, I loved making gang huts, climbing trees. We used to always take wood out skips and then just build little huts. Sometimes they want to say, sometimes we got scraped on nails jagging at them. My mate was in a tree house once and the whole floor of the treehouse just fell out and he was on it. I remember him just falling, and it was like, seemed slow motion. It seemed like he was on a magic carpet, just falling on this big plank of wood until it hit the ground. And I was just like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I remember a lot of that.
Gang huts were the thing back in we used to do exact same thing. Gang huts, like every weekend you were out working on the gang. Not even weeknights and that.
I know. You get chased off people. climbing people's trees, and it would be in their garden and things like that, and just pissing off the neighbours.
Trying to keep it hidden because like other little teams might find your gang hut.
Trash it.
Your gang hut got trashed quite often. You were finding the best spots.
Or
for
you'd
it.
come back and it would be full of like beer bottles and that, and you'd be like, oh, some bigger kids have came and sat in our gang hut.
Bigger kids are like some homeless guys found it. Like at least he's probably had a nice place to stay for the night. You know, ours had carpet in it and stuff.
Really?
We used to
probably had fleas in it and stuff.
I know. We used to go to Skips and like rip carpet out of Skips and. But yeah, so like, were you into sports or that as a kid? Did you take part in any sports or just a fan of sports?
I played football. I was always quite fit and healthy. I wasn't good at football though. I didn't really care that much. I liked it, but I wasn't that good. I played for a team, but I was pretty much the substitute.
What age was that, like playing for a team?
I must have been 13, 14, just before I started like drinking and going out. 13, 14. The team was Porty Thistle. They weren't even that good, and I couldn't get my game. So, not good. And I played for the school team, but again, I only came on as sub for the last 20 minutes or that. I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But I enjoy football. We're in a football talk right now. Shout out MLS, Portland Timbers.
You're always watching the football. I know you and Deco hook up to watch the football and that a lot and stuff,
Celtic season ticket holder. Been for years now, so.
Was there any other sports that you were just into really? Were you into like...
I was good at badminton, but that was just because we played it at school, and there was a wee badminton, just came when you're like 11 and 12 and you're just running about the hall hitting the thing, but I was pretty good at that.
Anything like you enjoyed watching sort of thing? Like, did you... I know a lot of folk from our generation loved like wrestling, WWF and all that. And
I remember the first time I seen that, I went into my mate Chris Scott's house, and he had Sky, you know, when the first time people had Sky, because it used to just be 4 channels before we even got Channel 5. So when I remember he was one of the first people I ever knew that had Sky, and the first time I knew what wrestling was, but I just thought it was guys in like pants and nothing really cool. But then when I remember the first time I seen WWF, it was the scene where Stone Cold was filling Vince McMahon's car full of concrete. He was just pouring all this concrete in the top of his convertible, and I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, it's the wrestling. I was like, that's not wrestling, that's a guy pouring concrete in a car. That's cool as fuck. What the hell is that? And then I never had it, like Sky, but I remember he would tape it back when you would just try and actually put the tape in and hit record and tape whatever's on TV.
Used to go around, everyone was like that, I think. Well, can't have been everyone, there must have been that guy that had Sky, but most of us all went round to your pal's house who had Sky.
Yeah. Or he'd like tape The Simpsons, so you'd have like 20 episodes of The Simpsons on a VHS or something.
My mum and dad ended up getting Sky in my sort of late teens. So by that point, I wasn't in the house anymore. I was out and about all the time. I have
a very early memory of the music channels. Like the Box was the first one, but then you had remember Channel U was the sort of UK hip hop thing. I remember hearing like
Channel U.
Yeah, so
that doesn't feel that long ago, really, does it?
I know.
Channel U, but it was probably 15, 20 years ago.
Dizzy Rascal, I remember. Fix up, look, shut up.
MTV Yo Raps or something.
Brief memories. I don't know even if I can remember that.
When
I remember MTV
Bass. When it was music,
and they had MTV Bass or something, which was the southern.
I used to watch a bit of that as well. That was MTV Bass. Feels like it was like One Extra. Before One Extra existed.
I think it was just like a UK.
Was it not Trevor Nelson did it? Maybe MTV Bass. I'm not sure. No possibly. Trevor Nelson always done all the R&B and stuff.
Oh, did they? I can't even remember.
You had Tim Westwood rocking, basically doing all the hip hop, and Trevor Nelson doing all the R&B. And now I respect Trevor Nelson and all that, but back in those days, and when I just was getting into rap, I was like, what's all this R&B Trevor Nelson stuff? That's not for me.
That's cool. I remember I remember listening to Westwood. That was one of our only outlets for inlets for getting hip hop.
Yeah, baby.
Just once a week. Deco used to tape it. My mate Deco. If you know who I am, you probably know who Deco is. We started rapping together. If you don't,
Deco's the other part of Word and Deco. If you're not aware of who Word is,
I mostly do solo stuff, but we started just rapping as teenagers. Our first gig when we were 15 at the under-18s venue, stuff like that. But he used to tape the Westwood, just wee tapes, put it in every week. Boom.
It's good starting off with like a companion or like in a duo, because basically me and Mad Hat were exactly the same as you and Deco.
And
when you can share it between two people, it takes a lot of pressure off you too when you're just doing your first gigs. You've got your mate with you.
100%. Plus you got a hype man if
you got a hype man.
Just doubles your words and things.
You're not standing there on your own too, eh?
Yeah. Well, there was there 3 of us to start with?
Ah, right.
There was a guy, Peter Smith, but he recorded a couple of times, and then when we'd done the gig, I think he just couldn't be bothered about it, and he was like, I'm not really doing gigs, I'm just having a laugh, guys. And me and Deco were like, we're not. we're doing the gig. We're going to do more gigs, we're going to keep doing it. And
he might have looked back years later and thought, oh man, I wish I'd done a bit more of that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, sort of sports and that, and like, what was your fashion sense, say like 10 years ago, into your teens?
No, I was a sweaty, or what would you call it, like a skater type that couldn't skate.
Right.
So I was the baggy jeans, the Vans trainers. I had I know I've got long hair now, but I've had short hair for years. I sort of had like a shitty spiky hair down the front of my face. It looked really stupid looking back. I'm glad there's not camera phones and stuff when we were growing up, because I look like a wee mini Mosher. Used to go to the mini mission at Studio 24. God rest Studio 24 soul. It's the best club. Edinburgh. It's gone. Edinburgh's really crap for gig places now. But
I know, it's mad,
But no, I remember going there. It was sort of the rock music, So at the end of the night, they used to play like Rage Against the Machine or Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Yeah, because you liked a lot of sort of rock, and you used to even say to me, in a way, like you were like, I was pretty much a goth, in a way.
Yeah.
Aye.
Well, I think goth's what chavs would call you.
Yeah,
but I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't a goth. I never had fucking I was more of the skater rock type thing. But everyone's a goth if you look different. That was it. It was before emos and shit. But that really wasn't that into that emo scene. It was more the punk sort of stuff. I grew up listening to like NoFX, Korn, Rancid. Rage Against the Machine. I remember Rage Against the Machine doing the hip hop cover album. Fucking loved that, and that was a good thing because Deco was like, no, he was just into his hip hop.
Did you like some hip hop at the same time as liking the bands?
I fucking always heard it.
So at the same time, you still liked hip hop, but you had a love for that other type of music as well.
And I was well aware of it. Like I had Ice Cube albums because, what was it? He done God, what's the name of the song? I think it's called "Fuck Dying" with Korn. So Ice Cube and Korn had collabed on a couple of things. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm going to get that album. And then when Rage Against the Machine covered all the hip hop artists and just done a whole covered album, I was just like, right, I'm going to hear the original of that. I'm going to listen to the original of that, which was Rakim and Cypress Hill. I mean, I already knew who Cypress Hill was, obviously. But
did you ever like have sort of at that young age? Did you have any sort of dreams in your head of being in a band?
I tried to play guitar and I was shit.
Aye.
I've tried to play drums and I can't even get my hands going and my foot going at different things. Which
I've tried that.
I'm
I make beats
ambidextrous.
and I'm alright with my fingers and my hands, but as soon as I put a leg in, I'm like, whoa.
No. I'm single track mind. I can't. Things like strumming and changing chords or doing things. I was never musically good at that. But when I was coming to writing and getting on a beat and very analytical, twisting words, that was a way forward.
I mean, you've stepped into a wee bit of poetry as well in recent years, sort of, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just
spoken word.
I needed a change, because we've done all the hip hop gigs for years and years, and then I ran the hip hop house stuff. But
Wardy Buns used to say to me, and when I used to work with so many rappers and that, and it was just tons of rappers coming up to mine all the time, and I knew they were all just good. I only worked with folk that were good, and it was Wardy Buns that used to say when we were chilling on our own. He used to always say like, Word is a very skilled writer. And I never used to read into your lyrics enough, and it was Wardy that made me go, like, actually pay attention to what he's saying. There's hidden subliminal stuff in everything he's writing, and if you pay attention, you'll notice it. And I started, what was he talking about? And then I started noticing all these things, like your classic lines about like something about a lion, but actually you're saying the guy's lying, and all these you've got lines through tons of stuff.
I know, I remember things like that. Yeah, if I was talking about a lion, I would probably say words like a pride in your lion and just things like to tie it on in.
Yeah,
but I double entendres. Jay-Z's one of my favourite rappers growing up, and just the way he would always say two things at once or sometimes three things at once, it means more things. Like
it just shows the difference in like influences. You were really, I remember meeting you, and you were a big fan of Joe Budden. I remember you being like, and I kind of had a similar chat with Nasty about how I grew up into like West Coast stuff more. So when I met you and you were going on about Joe Budden, I was kind of like, Joe Budden.
Well, a lot of people thought it was just pump it up. But the mood music mixtapes are some of the best mixtapes ever released in hip hop. I mean,
Aye.
they're brilliant. They're so deep, and yeah, I don't listen to him. I don't know if he's doing much music anymore.
It took me years to get into the more hip hop side of music, because I think, not in a bad way, I don't regret it, but I think listening to so much West Coast at a young age, like poisoned my mind, and that's how rap music sounds. And then when I started to find East Coast, I was only attracted to like Mobb Deep and Biggie and people like that were still bringing sort of gangster East Coast.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's poison. It's just poison in it. It's just the different things, man. But no, I grew up and listen Tupac and the Chronic album and all this, your big ones. They're absolute classics for a reason, and that's what I grew up on.
You grew up on a mix of both.
Yeah.
Aye.
I mean, even though he's shite now, I liked Eminem back in the day. He was brilliant. Marshall Mathers LP I thought was great. His first album. Even like Devil's Night, but after that, I don't know.
I think everyone would agree that when Eminem came out, like for white people trying to rap or being involved in hip hop, it's common knowledge. I mean, when Eminem came out, it was almost like a wee celebration in your head that, oh my god.
Yeah, and plus you're like 14 and it's a perfect time to have stuff that pisses off your parents.
Yeah.
And that pissed off.
And that's not saying anything against black rappers, because you grew up loving all the black rappers. But it's just being a white guy and feeling a kind of out of place when you're young. And then suddenly this guy Eminem blows up and you're like...
But it just made it more mainstream. It just took it.
I always feel quite bad though, because people quite often forget about Everlast.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, Everlast.
And, Everlast was good, man. House of Pain and.
Well, Blasphemous Sinner's a big fan of Vanilla Ice, like his early stuff.
Aye,
like
aye.
He's like, forget the cheese. The cheese.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to stuff. He's a big fan of that.
He didn't just wake up and drop a cheesy tune and become massive. He must have worked on what he was doing. I don't know much about him, but he must have worked his way to get where he was. Yeah. And then I know that Eminem tells a story in an interview that he says something about when he met Kim at a party. He was rapping a Vanilla Ice song standing on a table.
Right,
Eminem.
okay. Nice,
I always remember that. Like, there you go. Vanilla Ice wasn't always cheesy.
Yeah.
Even Eminem was rapping his song before he was big.
Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of young people, Eminem wasn't always bad.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Eminem was the leader at one point, really. And I remember Method Man. We're going on to other stuff here, but I remember Method Man in an interview when Eminem came out and first got popular, and Method Man got interviewed and asked, "What do you think about this new guy Eminem?" And even Method Man saying, "That guy's a genius."
Right. Okay.
And I saw that interview and was like, "Wow, he's getting backed by
proper
people, you know."
Nice.
But he always showed recognition as well to the people that made it possible for him.
That reminds me. Method Man was. I loved that Blackout album with Red and Meth.
Oh right,
yeah.
That
was one of my favourites.
I had a lot of mates that were into that.
That was a good one.
I wasn't mad. So again, like how I got into Nas and Mobb Deep and Biggie and Wu-Tang were one of the ones as well. A massive one, bigger than... I was more into them than the other ones, really. But yeah, because I wasn't into all of it, I wasn't that massive a fan of Redman. So that album didn't hit me,
Oh, right, okay.
I
loved Redman. Man, what the
album...
album...
now I do. Yeah. But back then, at that time, I was like...
See, when you're talking like earliest hip-hop, sort of before it changed style, that the album, that was the one that I can still go back to and listen to, like... Because it's more like, after like 92, it started just changing. Yeah. Like, and just the way it changed, maybe with Nas and things like that, the way rappers rap changed. Yeah. But I remember Redman's first album, I remember that being like old school hip hop, and I still loved it, and I still love it today. It's one of my favourites.
I bought the Muddy Waters album, Muddy Waters. That was the first Redman. So I did eventually, but it took a time for me to be like, no, that is cool. I bought Tribe Called Quest albums, so I started moving into it all, but it took me years.
I stole all my albums, man. We used to go to Virgin and HMV and just take them, because they had the security seal, but if you flicked the back of it, we'd open them and take it, and then we'd go into FOP and steal cases, because they had blank cases.
Just open up the hinges. And
and then they would just flip it back.
How terrible word.
Just kids though, just kids taking CDs. No one's losing any money. It's HMV.
Aye.
And if you steal a CD, technically the shop has to count it as a sale because they have to order more stock.
All right.
So if you steal a CD, you're still making artist money.
Aye. It's probably the record store that's losing out, aren't they? Well, so kind of covered like fashion you were into, music you were into, and sports you were into. Is there anything else like sort of that strikes you from when you were young, things that stand out, kind of made you who you are and you remember?
I don't think
I know you're I mean, I like to go anywhere on this part of the interview, and I know like you've got a cat, you love your cat. Did you have animals when you were a kid? Or?
I had think I had fish, and I had lizards like when I was really, really young. But I think I sold them to get a PlayStation when the PlayStation came out. Like, I didn't care that much.
Sold your fish and your lizards for the PlayStation.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I used to put in crickets and that. And that's kind of cool when you're
I've got the lizards still, mine.
Oh, so you do?
Yeah. The crickets in for them. And we bought them years ago, and 2 of them have actually died now, but we had them a long time.
Yeah.
And now the one that we've got still is about 16 years old.
Really?
Aye.
For a lizard? Wow, I didn't know they even lived that long.
I've got a gecko, leopard gecko lizard. We've lived in that house for 14 years. We got it in the flat. We lived there for 2 years, so it must be about 16 years old now, and he's still going strong, eh?
That's brilliant. I love animals, reptiles, fish. I mean,
he's a wee gecko, and he's about that big now, nose
really?
to tail. He's massive.
That is huge for a gecko. Because I remember the ones we had were only like that.
Yeah, they were always wee, but this one's lived for so long. He's just like, his tail's all fat. He's muckle. He's like a snake with legs.
Nice. But my cat's my best pal, man. My flatmate. He's scared of all this equipment. Otherwise, he would be through here. And you can see him,
he's normally here saying hi to me, but he's
hiding
ran
through
away.
the room.
And for anyone that doesn't, well, we've already said I've known Word a long time, so it's not like I'm interviewing somebody I don't know. I'm asking him questions that I know the answers to a lot, but that's cool. Because it's not for me, it's for you guys.
Nice.
So yeah, we're nearly sort of coming up to the end of the first part. It's always good just to try and think of any last wee minute things you might have thought, I wish I'd said that.
We've got more parts we can chat about. No,
Anything else from growing up? Can go it like at school? Did you have an easy time, or did you feel like you were picked on or that? Or
nah, I wasn't picked on at school. I was, as I say, I was a bit of a sweaty sort of skater thing. But all my mates would have been what you would call chavs or whatever, sovvy rings and that. So
aye.
I was always in with a crowd that.
You were
guys,
always fine.
I was always fine.
You were in with a good group of friends.
We got in fights. Because I mucked about in Leaf a lot. We'd get fights with guys from Nidri would come down and had my kid kicked in a few times. I threw a few punches. It's just silly kid stuff.
We had similar things at Drummond.
Just kids though. Not only when you're like, when you start drinking on the streets, like 15, sort of 16, and you're just like drinking on the streets and that, just in the park and shit like that. But that's part of life growing up. You have to get.
We all did that, I think.
I know it's maybe sounds a bit silly, but I think everyone needs punched in the face once in their life. I think it makes you go,
oh, definitely.
I need to.
I got a couple of things like that when I was younger, and it makes you realise, like, you got to watch your mouth at times.
You can't be a cheeky little kid your whole life.
And I believe too, the drinking in the park thing. People, if you can control this, like for people that I've got 2 kids, and if you can control and not go wild, drinking in the park when they're young's not a bad thing, because by the time they're like 21 years old, they've already had a lot of fun drinking in the park. If they don't do that drinking in the park thing, they're going to hit 21 and go wild.
Yeah, true. So maybe because of COVID, a lot of teenagers have not been going out. Maybe they're all drinking in the parks again. I know. Maybe everyone's just more sensible these days. But
so I don't endorse it, but get down to the park with your cider.
Well, that's I said, right. Get drunk underage and steal CDs. So another thing. Don't listen to us.
Yeah, a lot of things are harmless, and you'll be all right having a bit of fun when you're a kid. Nothing's too serious, some people have done some serious stuff when they were young, and I'm sure they would say, like, don't do that, you know?
Oh yeah, so, you got to admit, everyone makes mistakes or grows up and sees mates making mistakes or things.
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered pretty much all we need to on the first part. I think we know quite a lot about you. So we'll just move on, man, and we're going to take a little break. There's going to be a new track played from Word. I've not got the details just now, but it'll all be on the screen, and we'll be back in a minute.
Speak soon.
In the void of the voiceless, online algorithms limiting your choices. I'm living in block lists, sitting with writtens and thinking I'm conscious. I'm living in the mind of someone who thought this. What if we're God's thoughts? What if we're all sorts? What if my eye when I look at you is me looking back with your eyes too? Or maybe we're robots. Maybe computers get so lifelike that all the people don't go outside. Maybe it's year 2099 and we're in a program to travel in time. If we pollute the sky, have acid rain and plastic oceans would stay at home, we'd all plug in and play this game. It's called holidays when the world decays. Body is a temple, but I don't feel religious. The world was your oyster, I hope it was delicious. There's nothing to us precious, and earth is getting hotter. The streets will look like Venice. Please no swimming in this water. Please no swim. Is there virtue in virtual reality? If I act this way, is it actually a part of me? Factually, it's hard to say. I guess we live our lives in different ways. I guess we're playing our lives and willing to fight well in computer games. What if we went outside? Maybe protest this life. Maybe we're lazy and scared to the right, so hollow no morals and follow the light. What if we're dead, deceased, gone, and you're a program that's hearing a song, and I am an upload that was not born, a simulation to test this form. And where we're from, we're all the same. Bodies decay with no form of race. We're all just data that's entered and placed and trapped this way. Forgot it's a game. Maybe we're slaves. Maybe we're saved and placed in a maze. Maybe today is only a stage. Maybe no time and nothing is fate. Audio waves translate for a grave. Try and relay those grave mistakes. Your body is a temple, but I don't feel religious. The world was your oyster, hope it was delicious. There's nothing to us precious. The earth is getting hotter, the streets look like Venice. Please no swimming in this water. Yeah, your body is a temple, but I don't feel religious. The world was your oyster, I hope it was delicious. When nothing to us precious. The earth is getting hotter, the streets will look like Venice. Please no swimming in this water. Wait, what if it's meant? What if this pain is only a test to get us set for what is next? But maybe they left. Experiment didn't have an end, and we just sit and comprehend if we exist. If peace can exist. If we can exist without being dicks, and maybe fix for the time they give. Take this plug out my neck. Take this mask up off in my head. Take this heart while there's still some left. Or put it back on, cause I can't face this mess. Body is a temple, but I don't feel religious. The world was your oyster, hope it was delicious. There's nothing to us precious. The earth is getting hotter, the streets look like Venice. Please no swimming in this water. Yeah, your body is a temple, but I don't feel religious. The world was your oyster, I hope it was delicious. When nothing to us precious. The earth is getting hotter, the streets will look like Venice. Please no swimming in this water.
Right, so we're back. Hope you enjoyed the tunes, and going on to the next part, which is pretty much about what got Werd into what he enjoys, what got him into music, pretty much. And so, like, if you could maybe any stories about sort of the main events of things that happened, maybe like things you saw on TV, or you went to a friend's house, or what got you really into making hip hop music, actually being an artist.
It's funny. Well, me and Deco always liked hip hop together, and we were always kind of writing and rapping. When you're out drinking, we used to just like freestyle and things. So we're always pretty good as well. At least all our mates thought so. Like, wow, how can you do that? And every time we'd go somewhere, we'd be like, oh, you're that rapping guy. Go and rap. And it was just the thing that we always done.
You weren't making tunes. You were just doing it for fun.
We were just doing it for fun. But then we did.
Freestyling, like,
I remember
making it up on the spot, or
yeah, a lot of it, and or even just like rapping other things, songs. I remember one time we were steaming and we loved the song "Regulate" by Nate and Warren G. I remember, like, I can't remember who it was. One of us started just like rapping it, and then when the Warren G Nate dog came part in, we just done it back and forth. I remember we done the whole song and we just laughed and we were like. That was fun. And then you just like perform and rap. We're always quite loud and vocal and cheeky, and that was one of the first things we done. I remember one time we were out drinking and Deco was staying at mine that night, crashing on my floor. And we had the PC on, And we had this, you know, those really crap mics you used to get with old PCs. They were just like these little thin things on a white stand. They were just a stick.
Wee stick thing,
yeah. So we had one of them and we put it on the shelf, and we'd done this sort of like, I guess it's before podcasts were even a thing, but we were like, well, Deco, that was a funny night tonight. Thing we got too drunk in that in, and we were just laughing and going, you was a fanny, and we would just chat for like 10 minutes, record that. And then we just sent it to like our mates on the MSN sort of group, and they were like, this is funny having a night of the review. I forgot about that. Can listen to it in the morning. And we're just like, that was silly. So we enjoyed that, and then able to record, doing really
learning about.
I mean, the mic was terrible, and then we got another mic, and we just progressed it. I taught myself how to use Cubase.
Now, were you actually intending on rapping at this point when you were doing this?
Yeah, we were writing our own.
So you were writing. So you started off like freestyling with your pals, but then how did you start getting into thinking, I want to actually write raps?
I think we just
we did just
write raps because we were into hip hop and rap, and then we would just do them at like house parties and when we were drinking in the park. And eventually, I was always good on PCs. I had a couple of mates that were really good on PCs. Used to hack people in that, like that was really annoying.
They were probably downloading movies and stuff way ahead of other people.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do now, but I used to just torrents. When you used to download a movie, but it would only have like 2 users, so it would take like a month to download. Remember these things? Managed to get some knockoff recording software. I think Wavelab was the first one. I think that was Steinberg or thing before it done Cubase.
All right.
So then I just was like, okay, well, I know how to do Wavelab, so if I step up to Cubase, I should know roughly what to do. And Chisel from Edinburgh Collective.
All right, yeah.
He was really good. He had a booth.
He was making beats and everything.
Yeah, went down to his house and he had a booth, the polished diarine, a little thing, a monitor, like a flat screen monitor in his flat in God, where was it?
Was it not down Royston way?
Down, oh God, I forgot the name. It starts with a G.
Granton.
So it was down Granton. Went down his, and he just gave me the basics. I mean, I remember opening Cubase and seeing all these buttons and functions and being like, it's scary. But he was just like, nah, use a compressor, use an auto gate, and then bring the EQ back up. And I was like, that's it. He's like, yeah, just do that. That's the only presets you need. And I was like, okay. And then my stuff sounded 10 times better.
You start going, when you hear your vocals for the first time done decently, you're like, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Like you start feeling you sound better.
But then Chisel saying, right, now give me your backup vocals. And I'm like, what do you mean backup vocals? He said, oh, you should double all your kick words that are on the lines. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's an obvious thing to do. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. And then I think I just went back up the road, started doing it myself. And I never knew how to. I still don't do this. I'll admit it. I don't even snap to BPM when I record. I drop the beat in, and then I do vocals on it, and I do it all by eye and ear.
Yeah, but
I've never snapped or dragged anything.
You see me doing that as well. I'm exactly the same. Some people say like, using these like snapping things, so it's all bang on done by the computer. But before we were all digital in an older time, everything was done by ear. I
guess it would have been now.
So it's a natural talent to be able to just do it from your ear, and I think it sort of proves something a bit more. You've got more ability.
Yeah. It's annoying when you're sending off remix. Like if someone's like, "Oh, I'd love to remix that tune. Can you send me an acapella?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, have the acapella. I'd love for you to remix it." And they're like, "Oh, great. What's the BPM?" And I'm like, "I don't know, mate."
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, I know what you're saying now. I knew the BPM. I was okay because I made the beat.
So
because
true.
I made beats.
I've never made a beat in my life.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, me and Mata, we hardly ever did any dub tunes. We hardly ever used other people's beats ever. And we had like FL Studio 4. I think it's on like 15 now or something.
Really?
So we had FL Studio 4 and we were just dropping a kick and a snare and a
That's
bass,
cool though, man.
And we were just like, that'll do. Just a hi-hat. And we'll just rap over that. And then I started getting really into beats, and he was just loving the rapping. Yeah. I liked the rapping, but I loved, wow, man. Yeah, made that music. Like, that's mad.
It's one of the things I never, apart from like you and maybe Scant Squad that we'd met, I never was any beat makers really in our close friend circle.
Yeah.
I knew DJ Sonny, Adam Holmes, Nostal, like made beats and got a few of them, but I've always quite liked just remixing mainstream stuff, especially if it's on a mixtape and I'm putting out for free download, and over 33 download mixtapes. I don't want to be buying 10 beats for each free download if I'm just giving stuff away.
Aye.
Selling music was never a thing
Yeah.
we really wanted to do, eh? And back when we were growing up, we never had Spotify, and iTunes must have only been starting. I've never had an iTunes account.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, we just used to give it away. It used to be in and not even things like Bandcamp. We used to just make a wee transfer link or a SendSpace link,
Aye.
and you used to give people the zip file.
We used MySpace a lot. That you used to be able to put like 4 tracks up on MySpace.
Aye,
something
MySpace
like that.
It's crazy. At least that had a counter.
But we actually had it. We did stuff before. We just came in at the start of the internet. But when we first started, we didn't use the internet. Hardly anybody used the internet really. So we just made CDs and handed them to folk.
That's exactly the thing. Going to gigs and
Just
actually printing off your own CDs, getting the sticky labels used to put over the disc and print the actual
Mad
stuff.
Hat bought one of those hard drives that could burn rapid amount of discs.
Yeah.
And he was churning out the discs and he was like, "You need to come up and help me.
Yeah.
There's too much to do here." So I'd help him printing while he's like churning the discs out. And
you would just swap them with other rappers at gigs, or you try and sell a few, or like, I'll buy you a pint if I can have a CD. You're like, I'll do that. I'll take that deal.
We used to walk through the streets, like head up from like Leith up the town, walk up Hanover Street, and we would pass people and gauge them walking towards us. And if we thought they looked like they'd be into it, and Mad Hat was like 15.
Yeah.
I was like, 17 maybe he was. I'm not sure, but we were young. And we were just like, he looks like. So we'd stop. And we'd always, the same question, so unprofessional, would just be like, "All right, are you into Scottish rap?" And obviously everybody was like, what?
I've never heard that. That's brilliant.
What a stupid question, like, are you into Scottish rap? Nobody even knew it existed. What are you talking about?
I know.
Like,
yeah, like, man. It's funny though, that was the thing. CDs, buying blank discs on the sticky and just, man, I remember those days. I've got a lot of CDs. I've probably got about 100 Scottish hip hop CDs that I've never chucked them away. So every time I've been at a gig, I've put it in a box. I've got it. I mean,
you put a post up on Facebook a couple of years ago with all your.
I remember I was cleaning out and I just was put them all on the floor, and there's a lot of CDs.
It made me look at mine, and it's not as big as yours, but I was like, God, I've got quite a few as well. You've just gave me another one, Empress.
Nice.
Big up Empress.
Yeah. I found an Empress CD sitting there, so. Shout out Empress.
Yeah.
Riddler's just got a CD.
Just gave me one of your albums, so I'll be checking that out.
Yeah.
And fun times. And what's also cool is you became a hip hop artist, a rapper, and it wasn't like you had a mate that already done it. You didn't get into it because you met folk that do it. You just did it because you loved it and you wanted to do it. And we were the same, but. Because there wasn't many people doing it back then, it would have been hard to find someone else. But nowadays,
it grew quite quick though.
I remember a lot of rappers now they'll get into it because they one of their mates is doing it or something. They go to school and there's a guy at school doing it, and they go and do it with him. So
I guess the internet makes it a lot easier as well. Like all this Facebook sort of stuff and that. But
well, see how you said you heard me and Mad Hat or something, and that was the first. You were like, wow, there's other guys doing it. Well, we had the same thing, and we heard Steg and Freestyle Master and Cad on a radio thing, and we were like, check these guys from Glasgow doing it as well, and we didn't know anyone else was doing it.
We got that was another thing. I remember we went to see Exhibit in Glasgow, and Freestyle Master and Steg were supporting Exhibit. And we were like, what? Like that was one of the first times we'd heard like Scottish accents that weren't our own. And we'd been doing it for like a year by then, but just not seriously. But it does make you go, wow, we should do gigs, like more gigs now. Because we'd only done like under 18s at the venue, or we'd lied and said we were 18s so we could play Shanghai. They just wee things, and only playing it for 30 quid or the free bar. Like, well, under 18s I don't even think we were paid, man. I think it was just come and do a gig because we knew the DJs.
We often got free drinks and stuff at the bar.
But that was it. That was all it was.
And even at that, I think sometimes once you reached your limit of free drinks, they didn't give you any more. Like, no, you've had your free drinks. I thought it was for the night. Like, no, you've had your 3 bottles. But, that was it.
Well, that's why I like running the hip hop house gigs so much down at Sketchy Beats, just in the sort of years ago, because it was just.
Yeah, it was good. Popular.
I did
really popular.
Done loads of the gigs for years and years. Played like every club, and Glasgow and
Sketchy
Edinburgh,
Beats things reminded me of like things that go on in London and that, down Clapham and places, and they have these wee cafes open at night and people are just spitting on the mics.
It's more of a scene. That's what was good about. I think when it felt like when we were going, when Ralph was running past the Vibes at Medina, and all these wee gigs, it felt like a proper scene, and I think it kind of got lost because promoters started wanting to make money. People were running the gigs that weren't really in the hip hop scene. They were actually, all they did was promote, or they wanted to run gigs and they liked it, but they weren't totally like immersed in it as much. And I think doing the Sketchy Beat stuff brought it back to being like an underground thing where
being
people
a rapper, it's amazing at something like that and realising there's a whole place full and everyone's rappers, and it makes you think back to when because you're talking like 10-15 years after you started, you're now in a room full of rappers and you're like, wow, and it feels good.
And nobody's like putting on American accents.
Not that you created that, but it's just that
no.
Like,
but
you gathered all these people together.
And all different people as well. Like, so we have. It's not just Scottish voices you're hearing. You're hearing people from all over. We've had. We had Hungarian rappers, French rappers, Polish rappers. Had a trans rapper. We've had. Everyone up and down Scotland as well, London. All walks of life, all colours and races or religions. That was a good place, man. I kind of miss it, but I'll go back to it as well. COVID's been a bit of a bitch for live gigs and venues, but I like doing the festival stuff with them as well. Or mainly just getting a free ticket so I can help spit some bars at the tent, and then just get a free ticket for the whole weekend at festivals. That was good. But gigs are not something I do as much of anymore. I'm kind of going back to recording. Seems like you've just done loads and years of gigs with the same sort of material, even though still releasing.
You're a big believer in like if you're having a hard time going through anything in your life at the time, your music distraction makes you happier, eh? Basically.
Definitely. I think I complain a lot, but it's my way of complaining and releasing stuff. So I complain about society, I complain about
on your tunes.
Mental health issues, I complain about the lack of funding in places.
Releasing your feelings.
Yeah, it's a release and it's a release. It's the double one now.
You're releasing on your releases.
Yeah, what year was that? Was my first actual solo album. Not the first sort of mixtape thing. 2012. 2012, that was the first time I actually got CDs done. Man, that's a long time ago. 10 years, eh? Oh, wait, 10 years?
My daughter sees that I should CD in my house, and she's always like, will he come to the house one day?
That's nice. That was so cute. Jordan Butler's little one really likes my music as well. It's so adorable when kids like you, but you shouldn't be listening to some of that.
I know. Big up Leah Cowan on Facebook. She's always supporting stuff. Leah,
she's still nice. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but she was lovely. She
still pops up, and she used to tell me her wee 3-year-old used to run around the house going Uvi Beats. I was like, brilliant. 3 years old is a bit young, but she's the mum, so it's up to her.
Yeah, totally.
I'll leave it up to the mums.
That is something that is great because see, a lot of time when we're giving out music for free, we don't know, or we didn't know a lot of the downloads. Like, we don't know how many people are listening. So sometimes you get a surprise when you get an email from Germany and a kid, like, this blew my mind. Some kid sent me an email and he was like, oh, hi Word, sorry for my bad English. Just wanted you to know that I'd done my school project on you in my music class. And I was like, you done a school? He's like, what? So this kid's in Germany going, and he'd done a project or like talking about my music, like a review thing. This is my favourite artist. This is why I like him. This is his style of music. And explain a bit of the background. And I was that is crazy. That kind of blew my mind. And I always because when you're selling a CD and you're like, yes, I'm posting a couple of CDs to Australia today. That's cool. So like people in Australia are listening. But a lot of the free download stuff, you have no idea. And people pass it on. People give music or they steal it off YouTube. And you forget, people do that. So you forget how many people out there do listen to Scottish hip hop.
And most rappers are pushing their own music and doing what they do, but this is a comment you'll probably go like, oh yeah, fair enough. But Word's like a master at the promo. Whenever I do anything, I message Word, share this for me, do this.
I used to be that type of person that would go
at a time.
Every hip hop website I would go on. I would go down to the contact thing, and if they had an email, I would save it and I'd put it in a database of emails. And every time I released something, I would individually email them.
Yeah, you had mail outs and everything. There's other rappers that are good at this stuff too, but at the time there wasn't many. Folk were just rapping and making some tunes, and you were one of the first ones I met that was. I met Steg as well. He's really switched on, but meeting you as well, and just like there's another guy that's really like you were telling me, hey bro, you should be doing this. You should be popping it on here and sending that to. All right, when you make your tunes, make radio edits at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, aye. And you were. I wasn't thinking. I was just concentrating making tunes. I didn't have a bad promo hang online, but when I met you, I was like a whole load of tips. All right, yeah, man.
I'd done a lot. I guess it was just being quite clever about it. But that is frustrating when you're a solo artist and you're no management, no funding, that you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
But that's we kind of grew up in doing it. And it was little things I always thought was. I knew that people were typing in Scottish rap. They'd be curious, is there rap in Scotland? So little things like my first mixtape I called the Scottish Rapper mixtape. I mean, it's a bit cheeky, I'm milking it a bit, but at the end of the day,
cool.
I got 100,000 downloads on that album, on that mixtape.
The name Untitled Scott. I thought that was cool. Untitled Scott, and it's a bit like you didn't bother coming up with a title. It's like it's untitled, but also like you're Scottish, so I don't know. There's something about it. It's just like I'm just an untitled Scott.
That was originally couldn't think of what to call myself or the MySpace page. So the first time Untitled Scott's been used is it's MySpace/Untitled Scott.
Ah, right.
So that's...
You didn't know what to call it.
I didn't know what to call it, and then when I made the album, I went, you know what, I don't want to call it, I just go call it Untitled Scott.
Untitled Scott. I love that name. I thought it was good, eh? Like,
yeah.
So we're nearly at the end of this part, but maybe a last wee bit, just sort of explaining what it means to you to do music, and is it something that you need to do in your life, like it's part of you, and if you couldn't see yourself stopping it? Or
I need to do it because I think it's really beneficial for mental health and getting just making your thoughts. If sometimes I feel I can speak better if there's a beat playing. If I'm doing it in rhyme, I just feel I'm writing it down. It is like a diary, and it is like a release of emotions, but I don't need to release it. I've got unreleased stuff. Like a lot of people will know, I went for a bad couple of years recently when my ex passed away, and I had a whole album like there, and I've got a whole album like talking about like things about suicide and mental health, and sometimes it's great for me to write down and put it in things, and they are great songs, but at the same time I don't really feel I need to release it.
And also time passes, and when you were quite passionate writing these songs, you now feel like time's passed, I feel a bit different now. Yeah. I understand
and
that.
So I go from really, really deep stuff to just like comedy sort of fun tunes. Like my last project with Nunny B, the Cheeky Cunt LP, is just it's a bit, I would say it's a bit comedy.
You'll find me on there too, go and check that one out.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Word,
man.
Cheeky Cunt with a K.
Yeah.
And a K on the cunt too.
Yeah, so
that sounds like a good name for an album, like K on the cunt.
yeah. Man, so that was getting me back into it, because I felt I'd done a lot of deep stuff, even though a lot of people may have not heard it. But I think I always try, I'm always real. I always talk about what I'm feeling, and I'm always open with if I drink too much, if I smoke too much, and I'm aware of why I do that. And sometimes when I'm writing about smoking and drinking too much or not taking care of myself, I'm questioning it myself, and I am and we do go through bad patches. Everyone goes up and down in life. Life isn't a straight thing, and you're going to change who you are throughout your life.
Makes you who you are as well. Your experiences, and the more bad things you go through, I think it almost like makes the next bad thing that happened more dealable, because you've been through so much. And
I think
it's a bit rubbish, but the more crap you go through, the better you get at going through it.
It's not saying you're less...
Not for everyone.
It's not saying you're less emotional or less an empath, but if you've been through tough shit, it numbs you a bit, which means you don't panic as much. Maybe you can think about things, you can address situations in a more calmer mind. Because if you've been totally shocked to the core in your life, nothing really going to shock you to the core again like that as much, or something.
And when something really bad happens, when bad things happen after, like a really bad thing, when bad things happen after that, if they're not at the level of that really bad thing, you don't feel like it's that bad. You know?
It's not. That's what I mean. You shouldn't get used to it though. But it is sad state of affairs. Like when I mean, I'm nearly 35, and I've been to a lot more funerals than I have weddings.
Yeah.
And that's really noticeable, because sometimes when I'm in like my day job and people are like, oh, I'm going to a stag do, I'm going to a wedding and that, I'm like, I mean, I've only really been to your wedding, mate. Like,
Aye.
I've been to a lot of mates' funerals. Like, it's not good.
I've not been to a lot of it. I'm maybe equal though. I've been to quite a few funerals, young funerals.
It's depressing.
But I've been to a few weddings, so I'm about equal.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it should be equal. If you're going to too many funerals, it's not a great thing in the world, but it is. It is what it is. And I miss a lot of people. And I heard even last week,
you'll get a few
someone
more.
passed away again. Jay, rest in peace, Jay
right.
Somerville. So,
Cool.
it's a sad.
Do I know him?
Yeah, you might have met him. He's mainly sort of techno nights and that.
Right, cool.
Sort of stuff.
You
But
hear
yeah,
about a lot, eh?
It is, and
Makes me think of Del as well. Del Condor.
Yeah, recently cancer. And cancer also took
out to his family and that too, eh? And I knew that he'd been going through a lot, and I didn't know him very well, but I know a lot of people that knew him, and I know how much it affected all of them.
Oh, it's shocked. The whole hip hop scene respected him, because he was hip hop.
I know.
He was like, that's all he did.
And he was a nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, totally. You could tell he was so approachable and just so nice guy.
We're gonna have to cut this, and I think we covered like a lot of like what it means to you. And
do you know what? I'll play one of the unreleased songs off the album I just talked about next. So
cool. What music
play one
does
of them
for you and stuff. Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, right. Well, we're gonna have another little break, and we'll be back after a new track from Word.
Cheers, guys.
SOS. This mirror holds a face, but eyes don't age. Hard to recognize, yet still feel the same. Hey, I wrote words you can play, put them in all sorts of order to wander my ways. At first it was a phase, until I noticed this focus makes change. They might only make pennies, but I'm never the same. Watching news on telly, like fuck off mate. I'm cut open by the system. I stop bleeding with the music I make. It's like a microdosing melodies and instrumentals telling me the melancholy's often softening and stopping on recording days. I use music as a crutch, the booth is my church, the Bible my words, inspired from desire and no longer hurt. They say, be original, always was. Guess pointing out my flaws ain't what hip hop was. All that ego talk, before all the emos drop. 10 years ahead of the curve as the blue pills get popped. And no for me mate, society isn't red, but I still take what I take. When serotonin leaves my brain at incredible rates, the hip hop keeps me sane. Well enough anyway.
Right, so we're back, guys. Back with the final part of the interview, which is based on sort of your recent accomplishments, and not even recent things you've accomplished through your music that you're proud of, sort of what you're working on just now, things you're doing, even if it's not music, if you're going into new things like I'm doing these podcasts, things you're focused on, and what you hope for the future. So kind of starting off with what things have you accomplished in your music that you're sort of really proud of? Any artists or awards or anything like that you feel like recognition and you're proud of?
The main thing would just be that Scottish hip hop and Scottish rap's in a really good state now, and I'm pretty proud of helping being one of the guys that have pushed it over the years to get there. Like, yeah, man. Because it was a small scene before. People used to use fake American accents and not embrace Scottish culture, and it is changed now, and it's amazing to see that. And I feel like being part of that is the proudest thing. I mean, this is pretty hard to see because it's glass, but there's a wee award. That was 2011 Urban. I hate the word urban, but it says it on it. Urban Recording of the Year. That was Vagabond stuff with Waddy Burns and Zambian Astronaut.
And that's the Scottish New Music Awards, SNMA.
Yeah. What was it? I get mixed up between all the names of awards. There was one award that I came runner-up of as well, Hip Hop Artist of the Year. Been nominated for the... Remember we had done that Anti-9 Knife Crime EP?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That got nominated for some charity award down in London.
Wow.
They asked us to go down, but they weren't paying for anything.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to London.
Yeah, that was a good,
that was cool.
Good release. The meaning behind it all. And actually, the tunes were really good.
Yeah, and it was always little things like that. Like, actually getting that was approached from a company they're doing something. They wanted to do something for the youth, so they were like, right, would you... Anti-knife crime was
you got funding and stuff.
Yeah, we got paid for that, and we got good money for that.
Yeah, you paid me. I forget that, because I'm saying that was a good, well made, and I made the beats on it. So.
and Steg remixed one of the tunes as well.
You recorded it all up at my lab, and then, and I forgot, you actually paid me something. You got funding for it. You were like, some of that's for you, man. I was like, I like this.
100%, yeah. If you couldn't pay you pay the other people as well.
Other sort of things any other sort of accomplishments, achievements through music, people you've supported and all that sort of thing?
I've supported a few good guys. Supported SOS, supported Sway.
You knew it. You
Syntax.
Got to know SOS a little bit, eh?
Yeah, I ended up working with them, getting a tune with them.
And that's like they're connected to Eurogang. Is that right? SOS?
No, they are pretty much Euro. They started Eurogang. They were connected to Dipset, so they were on they were on the Dipset label through in America for a while with Cameron, Joe Santana and things. And then they fell off of that. I don't know. There was some... you'll be able to Google it. There was some issue in London where there's some London beef with another hip hop crew, and Joe Santana fucked it up, I think, or something. But SES, I always really liked them because I was never a massive fan of UK hip hop. I mean, I liked Kano, I liked SES, and I liked the battle raps.
Were you ever?
Don't Flop was pretty cool, so I kind of enjoyed that. I must admit, when I done it, I had no idea what it was, and I was like, it would be really cool if you could do it. And I was like, well, if you personally asked me, of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be such a big crowd. I didn't know it was filmed. I'd really just walked into it not knowing, but that was funny. And then eventually I ended up hosting a Don't Flop battle with Kruger up in Edinburgh as well, which was cool.
You played a big part in bringing those battles here.
Yeah.
Dealing with And,
and
me and you, I was contacting them. There was a handful of us. We were all contacting her saying, bring it to Scotland. We were proving to him that there's a handful of talent here, and he brought it.
Yeah, I mean, that's
not just us. There was a few of us trying our best to say, come to Scotland, man.
Yeah, because that's the thing. UK hip hop and Scottish hip hop don't tend to mix because UK hip hop is mainly just London. If you look at like there was some website done the top 100 UK hip hop albums.
Aye.
There was no Welsh albums, there was no Scottish albums, and there was no Northern Irish albums.
I used to.
It was just English.
Same as you. I wasn't a hater, but almost had a bit of like resentment for UK hip hop, and I used to make a joke that it's not UK hip hop, it's London hip hop.
It's London. It's 100% London.
But it is changing now because you're getting like. I forget a lot of the names because I'm not into a lot of the new guys. It's just that I'm still stuck in my old ways. I've just turned 40. It's not that I don't like it. Aye, but you've got these people like Bugsy from like Birmingham, no?
Manchester.
Birmingham.
But I'm Manchester, maybe. I'm not too sure.
And then you've got your underground ones like Lunar Sea and that are built big names. So it's great to see it moving further north.
And that's a good thing. That's what I'm saying about kind of being proud of just taking it and taking Scottish hip hop. So it is a thing now, because it wasn't a thing before. And if you think, what are they talking about? Scottish hip hop's tiny. It's Scottish grime's tiny. Scottish rap's tiny. Mate, it was so much smaller before. Like you could not believe.
Yeah.
So just getting there, and
There was a lot that wasn't. It was tiny, and there was only a tiny amount that was actually worthy of showing the UK scene.
Yeah,
you know,
there wasn't that many people at gigs that weren't rappers or just other people just involved with the scene. I think it's a lot bigger now. One of the things I'm proud of, and now that I think about it, is doing the Edinburgh Fringe show. I was part of the show called This Is Kayleigh.
I remember.
Where I was doing Robert Burns material, but I was doing it rap. So it was I was doing Scots Way Hey, I was doing it was Tia Haggis and Tua Mills and another one, the Haggis one. But I was just doing it in rap, so like we used to get Cooler and Timorous Beastie, all that, and that was great, and it was great money as well. And then they took it down London for the South Bank Festival for a 10-day run as well. Which was cool. That was the first time that I'd ever...
So you took that to London?
No, I didn't take it to London. I was part of the show, which was really, really cool.
You went to London with it though?
Yeah. So it was really cool. That was the first time where I felt, oh, this is really cool. I'm getting paid to go to London. They're booking my hotel and travel, and most of the time they're buying the food as well.
And the whole thing was a bit of a novelty, but that's the good thing about it, because people in London, the whole fact you were using like Robert Burns... poetry and things like that, they'd love that down there.
Oh no, I had a wifey come up in London and go, oh, could you do that at my daughter's wedding? Like I would love that. And I'm like, I would if you get in touch with me online. I would take a book in.
It's like you can spend years writing your own music, mastering your craft, and not like breaking the UK with it, but you can just rap some Robert Burns verses and people are wanting to fly over to America for weddings.
That's the that is the craziest things. After all this time, like the most highest paid gig I've done wasn't even my own material. It was Robert Burns material.
Yeah.
But I guess I made it my own.
Yeah, and that's nothing to do with the fact your own material wasn't good enough. It's to do with the age-old struggle of Scottish people rapping.
But then these little things, you're introducing Scottish rap to a whole new audience.
Yeah.
Like, and it was crazy because this I think it's called the Spiegel tent, was sold out at George Square every single night. Yeah. So we were playing 300 people a night, every night for the fucking month. Yeah, and it was brilliant. And even though I was doing Robert Burns stuff, I was using my accent, I was making it on my own, and people were like, that's really cool. Yeah. Like, so it was really cool. I'm pretty proud of that.
You're down there doing Robert Burns stuff, and you're a Scottish guy. It's all totally authentic.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. I'm just proud of bringing out CDs. You know, having CDs as physical copies. Like,
yeah. Well, that's again what I was saying about you, with your ability to push your music and do it as properly as you can on a budget, basically.
Oh, I do it all myself.
You have proper release, all these releases are proper covers, sealed, like rap sealed. Yeah. And Word's not the only one that's been doing that. Famous Steg G, he's been releasing stuff for long, always properly packaged stuff. And then there's lots of folk that have been doing it, like the Being folk and folk in Glasgow, and
it's worth doing.
And there was MCF.
If you can. But maybe not. It's maybe not worth doing anymore because the CD people don't have CD players as much anymore.
The diehard folk that love the music would still like the CDs, though. It's like,
yeah, I'd love to be on vinyl. I mean, I've got here's a vinyl here with some spray paint, but that's the closest. Yeah, I'd love to get a vinyl press just once, so before I finish up, which I doubt I'll ever finish up, but just so one day when I'm an old guy, I'll look back and go, oh yeah, I'm on a vinyl.
Yeah, you should, man. You've got the ability, I think you should. Yeah. Don't get old and regret it.
Well, I recently featured on this band, Voldo's album, and they're getting a vinyl made. It's already on CD, so if they get a vinyl made, but they're only doing it like half the EP, half the album. So hopefully that song makes it, and then I will be on vinyl.
Your name will be there. You know what I mean? Your name will be on vinyl.
That's I guess that is probably the next.
On wax. Is that what they say?
That's on wax. So if I was to want something, I think that would be a pretty cool thing. I'd want to get on vinyl. But I don't think there's enough there because, as you say, when I get CDs made, I do this all myself. So like, I work a job, I save my money, and then I put it back in hip hop. And a lot of the time, it doesn't come back and make money. Like if you're doing a music video and you're spending 300 quid on a music video, that's just 300 quid away. But if you enjoy it and you like what you're doing and it's your art and you put it online, then it's worth it.
That's another thing about Scottish artists that might, for UK folk that might be watching, that it's very hard to do your music and not have a job in Scottish rap.
And I don't personally believe in funding that much. I mean, I understand funding for youth projects and for people in need, but I do feel there's a habit in the in the funding and grants culture where a lot of people are getting money that don't need it necessarily, or they're doing things with the money which I don't see as relevant when we have food banks in the UK and Scotland. I understand that if you're taking a kid in a scheme and giving them music lessons or teaching them hip hop or a guitar, brilliant, right? If some, no offence to it, let's just say a poet or a classical musician, some girl that plays the violin, from a quite well off background, quite rich mum and dad, I don't see why that person then gets a 15-20 grand scholarship or funding ridiculous funding when we have youth centres closing, when we have food banks. So I think I wish there was enough money for it. Do you know what? It's Tories take our money, and all governments are a bit corrupt.
As I've got older, I've kind of got the same, and
I feel bad.
We're going into politics a bit now, but as I've got older, I felt like the country's in a fair bit of a mess just now.
It's going to get worse
and worse. It's going to get worse, I think. And I'm the same. I look at things now. I'm 40, and I look at the world, and I think, so I see people moaning about certain things. And I think there's so many more worse things than that going on, and we don't need to be throwing money at silly things. We need to be fixing these big things.
Yeah.
And the government also come up with new funding for things, and I often go, fix those other things. Why are you funding other things?
But they're funding, that's the thing as well. I mean, without getting too political, we know what happens. They fund charities, but the owners of those charities are like their brother-in-law or their uncle. And that he pays himself £1 million a year for running the charity. It's like, you're not a charity if you pay yourself. Like if you work in a charity or you own a charity, you should be paying yourself the bare minimum. You should not be
Some of them I've got like billion pound houses over in other countries, and
if you work in a charity,
you speak to a real charity worker and they work in the charity shop for free. They get up like 4 or 5 days a week and they go and sit in that shop all day long for free. And then you get the other charity folk that are like making a living from charity. And
you've got charity workers themselves having to go to food banks, and I've said that in a line. You've got charity workers themselves are facing hunger.
Sometimes I think, you're, as you say, a minimum, taking a minimum amount from the charity is okay, because you need to have some funding. You can't have someone doing tons of charity work and they can't put all their time in with a bit of funding.
Like the system's rigged.
Yeah.
I mean, why is there no maximum wage? There's a minimum wage, but there's no maximum wage.
Yeah, I know.
I'll continue to say in my music and point out this stuff. I always do. I will always say, like, and I'm pretty open with this, and I don't mean to offend everyone. But in fact, no, I do. I fuck the royal family and fuck the Tories and things like that. And if you vote Tories, I probably don't like you, and you're probably not going to like my music.
Well, that's that.
I'm not a type of person that's going to bite my tongue, and I complain about stuff a lot. Maybe I'm not that articulate sometimes. You're
a bit of an activist in a way, like for certain things. Have you ever?
I just think
went to many protests and things like that. Or?
Well, if it was up the Free Palestine march was up the road, so I went on that.
Aye.
Like, I'm going to go, and if it was right on my doorstep, I'm going to support it.
But also,
I'm not the type of thing to put like little flags in my window, like in the Ukraine stuff just now. I think it's terrible, but I also think why aren't you talking about Tibet, Syria? Iran.
Yeah.
Like, why is it just this?
I find a lot of that stuff funny as well. I think we should get off the politics. Though.
Yeah.
I'll
be political in my lyrics, but it's not a political.
Well, that
podcast.
shows you, as Wed was saying, what he talks about in his music. He truly believes in, and we were almost like adapting the whole podcast there to what you believe in.
If you're going to record music and put a mic in front of me, I'm going to talk about things that piss me off.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to. That's who I am. I'm going to complain about things. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm going to complain and voice my concerns because
it means you care, by the way. Because some people people might look at that attitude and be like, "Oh, just get on with life and stop complaining." The problem is, like, we need to complain about things because things won't change. And but if you live in your bubble and you think everything's fine, just carry on. It's not fine.
It's not.
Like, so
it's definitely not
for
fine.
People that I don't do a lot of complaining. I stay out of a lot. But I do believe a lot of this stuff, and I think it's important. I'm maybe not the best person. There's people there that are good at doing it.
Yeah.
Good at.
But I think I mean, I'm still on Facebook, but you only see things be like, I'll go on and I'll post like new release once every 6 months. I'm glad I'm not on things like that anymore, because I remember the arguments that were there, and I imagine in this political climate and everything that's going on, I imagine it's even worse now.
Oh, man.
And I'm pretty happy I'm not there, because I hear stories about some rappers having like arguments online and actually falling out in real life. I'm like, why are you on a website with a drink in you, talking shite.
And
like, don't do it.
And these subjects are so big just now on Facebook. I tend not to look through my news feed because I'm going to see stuff that's going to just waste my time and wind me up. So
Twitter's enough for me.
If you're going to get, so sometimes I miss your new music and stuff, or I don't support your stuff because I'm actually like purposefully not looking down the news feed because you've got like a racist guy saying something that's totally out of order, and then you've got like somebody picking on a certain class in society, or you've got, it's just like all these issues going on just now, and everyone mouthing their opinion, and you're not going to agree with them all. So I'd rather just not read it all.
Exactly. That's what I tried to just go on. Well, I left Facebook, but then I went on Instagram, and then I seen that's owned by the same company, isn't it? That's Meta as well, which is, you kind of get fucking away from it. And even when you want to go on Instagram and just see some photos, people end up writing messages and then taking a screenshot and putting it on Instagram. You're like, fuck off with your words. This is pictures. This website. So Twitter's enough for me. If you're going to get me on anything, I'm not ignoring you. If you message me on Facebook, I generally won't see it. But if you tweet me, I'll get right back to you. That's the best place for me. And I do run a small Scottish hip hop blog, which nobody sends me stuff. So which is quite frustrating. But if you got music to promote, you got a new music video, send me a Twitter message or send me an email, and I'll add it to my blog.
Word's dead happy to help people. He really spends a lot of time just trying to build the scene, as he says years ago. That's why he feels kind of proud of that, because he did do a lot of work building the scene.
It took a lot of effort.
People can claim he didn't, or that he's just soaking up some of the attention, but he did.
No, everyone that helped and everyone that rapped or released something or done a music video or hosted gigs, they all pushed it forward. And I don't think people realise, like,
but
we are a collective.
Blogs, and you did these things that other people didn't.
I tried to help in any way I could, but it's not even much to start a blog, to make a mixtape.
You hosted the MC battles in that Bristol Square for a long time, and sometimes I know you weren't even feeling up to it. You were maybe going through shit at the time, but you were like, I need to do this. Like it's more important than what you're going through. So that's what I'm talking about. But
well, that's true. I forget sometimes how much I've done and how many gigs and battle events and that we've started or hosted.
Let's move on to a wee bit more of this sort of section of like, because I don't want to miss out. What are you working on? Any actual music right now? Are you working on a release or something?
I have a lot of tunes scattered about from different projects. I'm doing this thing which artists always do, because we do this and we don't know why. We start a project, we move on to something else, we do a couple of features, we go back to that, we move on to that, and now I've got 4 EPs I'm juggling, and I'm like, right, I need to just focus on one and get it out the door.
They will all naturally
they'll all come
complete, but if you can take your mind onto one at a time, then you'll get them through quicker.
There's an EP with me, Deco and Nitty. All me and Deco's vocals are recorded, all the beats are sorted, and Nitty's just looking at that. We need to get artwork, we need to title it. I've done vocals for that.
Good,
that started. Me and Mog have an EP, which is about 5 or 6
you and
tracks.
Mog are quite close these days. You seem to see Mog quite a lot.
He lives right down the road. Mog's been in Edinburgh for over 10 years now, so
we've just heard from Mog on text message that he's up for doing a podcast, so
get him on
we'll be getting Mog on pretty soon. I've not even spoke to him yet, but I've got a good feeling he's up for it.
So he's I mean, I should have mentioned this before, I've got a studio in this flat, so we record a lot of people. I've recorded over 100 like Scottish rappers.
This is
for free as well. I don't make money off it.
This is the Sons of Scotland headquarters, which is Word's sort of like label in a way. It's his organisation where he supports a lot of rappers, and there's been a lot of names who have claimed Sons of Scotland basically.
It's just a collective. It's a collective of mates. There's no paperwork or anything.
But you're the head of that.
Well, me and Deco were, but he took a kind of break for a while, so I've been running.
You continued it on. It was founded by you and Deco pretty much, and then you continued it on for a long time.
And then
Deco's back again now though, but Deco's always never lost his skill.
No,
Deco's
he's one of my favourite rappers. I wish he had more material.
He's like got natural ability, the way he delivers.
And he's an encyclopedia for hip hop as well. I mean, if you were talking about like hip hop, and if I've heard a question about hip hop, I go, what album was that on? What year was that album out? Who produced it? Deco would know. A random Nas song or something, he would tell you what album it's on, what year it was out, if it had like what producer it was. He would just know that things. He would just know things like that.
Well, definitely. I'm going to get as many of these podcasts as possible, so I'll definitely be getting Deco on. Might even get a word and Deco or something, who knows.
Yeah,
but
happy to come back and
see what he fancies anyway. So I know that some people aren't comfortable doing podcasts, getting put on the spot. And so like if say Deco might go, I don't fancy doing one, do one with word then. Yeah, I'll do it with word. But
I think this is the first video one I've done.
Yeah.
Ian Henderson ran a test pilot of me, Mog, and Deco, like having a drink and just chatting about stuff. But this is the first time we've done this, and it's good, man. I'm enjoying it.
Quite relaxed, eh?
It is relaxed. We're just a couple of mates speaking, to be fair.
The build up to it, you're a bit like, what we're going to say, and it's like, it just happens.
Yeah.
Chat some nonsense for a bit.
Good,
well, we're coming up soon to the end of this bit, but so you've got like 4 releases you're working on just now. So at some point, as these all come, they're going to start churning out.
Yeah, you're going to probably get one, and then a month later you're going to get another one. A month later.
And what are you thinking time-wise until one of the first ones might come out? Are you talking like 6 months? Or?
Oh no, you'll get it sooner than that. We'll probably get one
for the beginning of the summer.
Yeah. You'll probably get me and the Mog EP by about then.
So in the next couple of months, month or two.
I need to check that things don't clash as well, and I might be doing. I'm probably going to go back to a couple of festivals this year, just as a fan, just enjoying myself, just chilling. But I might play 1 or 2 as well, because Morgan Lewis, the band The Ducks, they're doing a few, and they're like, you should come as well and get a booking in that. And I'm like, I don't know if I feel like I want to learn all my new material off by heart, because that's the stressful thing. It's been so long with this COVID, I'd want to use all the new material, so you'd have to learn all your lyrics again. God,
when you've not been performing live in a while, it's like a mission to get it all perfect in your head again.
I love performing, and I love jumping up on the stage.
Why don't you just rap with the vocals already on the beat? That's a joke, guys.
I've seen one Scottish rapper do that at a festival, and I will not
I've
say
seen
names.
people on Facebook the last couple of days. It's apparently becoming a thing again, eh?
Jesus Christ.
The new schooler rapping over their beats with the vocals already on it.
Wearing a fucking mask as well.
God knows, I don't know, but they're not all. I'm not saying all the new,
No.
but apparently I can see people moaning on Facebook about the new generation are rapping over the vocals.
The new generation is brilliant, and I'm absolutely loving the amount of material coming out of Scotland. But one thing I have to say is, if you're wearing a mask, you're fake. If you're wearing a mask, anything you're saying, hard or gangster or whatever in the song, is therefore ruled out by the fact you're wearing a stupid mask, right?
Right, cool. Well, I mean, I think we covered a lot of like your sort of accomplishments, what you're proud of, and working on. Is there anything else sort of that you're focused on, and what you're sort of hoping for the future that you want to get done or do more of?
I don't really hope for anything. I'm just starting to enjoy doing music again. I'm starting to enjoy the recording. It's good to have Deco recording again. It's good to do stuff with your mates. And I've just got solo stuff coming, so maybe not as much gigs in the recent future. I'll maybe go back to that at one point. But I just want to get more recording done. I just want to get stuff online. I just want to get stuff out there. So
gonna. There's always going to be new music coming from you, because
there's so much going on in the world as well, that there's so much to talk about. There's so much that I want to talk about.
There's no worries of Word not releasing any new music. There will be stuff coming.
I've had my break. I've had my couple of years of a wobble, and I'm back now, and I'm going to enjoy it again.
Nice, man. We'll have to get a wee UV Beats project on the go as well. We keep talking about it.
We've still got some unreleased stuff. That's the thing. When I don't. Maybe it's just as we get older and we're just starting to collect a lot of stuff. But I've got a shit ton of unreleased material. As I say with that album before that I mentioned. I just need to bring it out. I think I just need to start releasing more stuff. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I think that's us for the interview. I'd say we've covered most things. I'm sure there's other stuff people are, I wish you'd asked him this, but there's always time for another one, man. We can do another. When you've got releases coming out or anything, we can do a new one for a release coming out or anything.
That'd be cool, man. And I'll maybe drop some bars in a cypher video or something when I have some new material to share.
Yeah, man. I know you're a perfectionist and you're not wanting to drop any just some random bars. You want
no, I'll always give an exclusive. If I'm doing one of these to camera things, I always like original bars.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, we can even don't need to do another interview to do that. I could just hook up and we can get a bars video on the go one day or something.
We'll do that soon then.
Yeah, nice man. One. Yeah, cool. Right, well, cheers for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's been good. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you soon.
Bye guys, cheers.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any upcoming content.